All right, so making a buttonhole with given marks on a pattern. So we have seen on our pattern piece that there is a mark that looks very similar to the one that you see to the right of step 1, okay? Give me some kind of description of this so I know that you know what I'm talking about. Give me a description. What's it look like? Yeah.
Like a sideways eye.
Maybe a sideways eye, Mia. What does it look like to you?
An H.
An H. Okay, what else? A really weird H. A barbell, right? So I was thinking, to me, this looks like a dumbbell. All right? So, and you can see when I put it on my actual fabric, the mark goes horizontally when I have it here in my example, but I actually have it perpendicular or vertical, not perpendicular, vertical, when I have it on my paper here. The buttonhole function on our machine is always going to sew the buttonhole vertically. Okay, that's just the direction that it does. As we go through these steps, you'll notice that this particular worksheet does things in a very interesting way. I wanted to break this process down into different sections for you so that you'd really be able to understand what it is I'm talking about, because there's a lot of different pieces that go here. All right. So step 1, somebody read for me step 1. Yeah, go for it.
Identify the marks on your pattern piece that will be transferred to your fabric. The marks will look similar to the one shown to the right.
Bingo. We've all seen this one on our pattern piece. Yes. Fabulous. Next step. Heather, read that one for me.
Transfer the marks to the right side of your fabric using a washable fabric marking pen. It is important that you can clearly see the marks.
Okay, so everybody will have a washable marking pen. Mia, can you grab mine out of my drawer right there? And then you're going to take, you're going to have your washable marking pen with you. You're going to take the sample fabrics that I've given. Once you have read over this section, when we're doing this to practice, once you've read over this section, what does it say at the bottom? Right now? Go ahead. Stop. And then what does it say?
Let's try it.
Flip paper over. Try this step.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, like Dorothy's floor up in here. I think it is, yeah. Thank you. Okay. So where it says flip over, you'll see back at the top again, it says making a buttonhole, let's try it. And it says step 1, transfer the buttonhole marking. So here it says transfer the buttonhole marks shown on the right to your fabric samples provided. So these are the fabric samples that I provided you in the little baggie. Okay? Marks should be aligned with the center of the sample as indicated in the picture. So you guys can all see in the picture, I've made this like as clear as humanly possible for you. Center the buttonhole mark that you see. Okay? What's different about the way that we're aligning this mark as opposed to the one that we have with our pattern? What's different?
It's not going to be in the middle, it's going to be on top.
Right, it's the positioning. So this one I'm just saying, listen, align it somewhere in the middle so that you can, that was very good, that was a beautiful answer. Align it somewhere in the middle so you can get a good space to practice this on. The pattern piece, however, has a very specific location for where your buttonhole is going to be made. So you really have to make sure that you are aligning it correctly when you're going to transfer that mark. All right? So I'm going to show you guys how we're going to do this. So I'm going to take my paper here. I'm going to flip it to the side, and I'm going to show you for sample number 1. So I am taking one piece of sample fabric. I am lining it over top of the mark. Okay? You guys can see this? And I'm going to trace over top of it. Now, when we go to transfer onto our actual pajama pants, I'm going to demo with you guys how we're going to specifically transfer that mark just to make sure we know exactly where it is if you haven't done so already. I know some of us got to that step and some of us did not. So I'm going to trace over top of it. I'm going to trace my the bar tacks on the ends, that's what those are called, and the center line down the center. Okay? How you guys doing over there? Okay? Right where Jody is. Judy! Yeah, no, Jody, they're right there. They're right in front of the irons. Just be careful how the irons are on. There we go. Okay, so we have now transferred our buttonhole mark. What else do I need to have on this sample so that you know which one you're working with? What does it say? Yeah.
The number.
Great, because you know it says label each fabric sample with the number of the buttonhole you are transferring. So I was transferring number 1, I'm going to put number 1 on there. Now, what's really cool about this particular kind of pen, it's called a Mark Be Gone erasing pen. So what's neat about this one is if it's not totally in the right place, you flip it over, the pink end is the writing end and the white end is the eraser. So I can just go over top with my little eraser and it will actually erase the ink that was there.
Wow.
Magical! Once it dries, it won't have anything there. Okay, so that's how you'll go about actually taking the mark off after you're finished making the buttonhole. What's our next thing? What do I need to do now?
Flip page. Oh, stop! Flip page over to go on to step 2.
Fantastic. All right, so now I'm on step 2, and step 2 says apply interfacing or stabilizer. What is interfacing? What purpose does it serve? Yeah.
To make the fabric you're working with like stronger and hold its shape.
Or another word would be to
Stabilize it.
bingo, exactly. Okay, so we want to stabilize it. Now, in order for us to do that, we need to cut the correct size. So for our pajama pants, I think it's cutting just about an inch square around it, but it really depends on what size your buttonhole is, because if it's really tiny, you don't need a huge piece, okay? Maybe you don't need an entire inch, right? So I'm just going to take a look and see what size I need to make it. I'm just going to generally figure out where I'm going to cut this, okay? So a little bit bigger than, oh, I think these are yours. These are, where are you? I think these are yours, it's left-handed. A little bit bigger than the space that I'm working on. This is just for the purpose of stabilizing. Now, which side did I make my mark on? Which side of my fabric did I make my mark on?
The right side.
So, what side of my fabric is my interfacing going to get glued to?
Wrong.
Beautiful. So I'm going to flip this over, and it's going to go over top of where my buttonhole mark was, and I'm going to put the glue side to the wrong side of the fabric, okay? And you can tell because it has a little bit of texture on it, okay? Feel. Feel the texture? You feel the texture? Mm-hmm. Okay. You feel texture? Feel texture?
Feels rough.
We iron it, right?
You iron it, yeah.
Okay.
But in order, it's a glue that is a special kind of glue that melts and adheres once it's ironed, okay? So what I'm going to do, the iron is, Rebecca, the iron's in front of you, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this over top, and you're going to iron this on, okay? You might want to stand up.
And you might want to take this paper.
Thanks. So it says cut a piece of fusible interfacing that covers the entire area where the buttonhole will be made. Attach the textured side with the glue dots to the wrong side of the fabric by ironing in place on high. And then it says, stop, let's try it. So what Rebecca's doing right now is, if you guys were doing this on your own, if you were practicing, you would cut and attach interfacing to all 3 samples, being aware of the size needed for each. When you're finished, you're going to glue only number 1 into the box on the right.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, right? And so it stabilizes the actual place where the buttonhole is going to be sewn. Now, if I were doing this as you guys would be doing it, I would stop, I would take this piece, and I would glue it, just the edge right along here, to my box on the right. Why am I having you do this?
Samples.
Samples.
So we can look back at it.
You can look back at it. Why am I only having you glue one edge, Maggie? One edge. Yeah, so I can flip it, exactly, so I can see where my interfacing is, okay? That's the whole idea. Now, I'm not going to glue this one because I'm going to use this one to show you how I'm going to go about doing everything, all right? Now, at the end of step 2 on the let's try it side, what does it say? Beautiful. Let's go to step 3. Stop.